morning, everyone. I'm Arya Gupta, and I would like to welcome viewers in Mr. Valenti's classroom and around the world. This is AG Bio News reporting to you live on Monday, May 22nd at 11:20 a.m. Our first story comes from the University of Arizona. Recent research finds that plants and animals share much more in common than it seems. These organisms are eukaryotes, meaning that their cells, as you can see up on the screen, contain a nucleus, holding the genetic information of the organism. Eukaryotes additionally have several membrane-bound organelles located in the cytoplasm, such as ribosomes, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi body, lysosomes, and more, each with their own separate functions. However, plant cells differ from animal cells by containing a cell wall that provides extra stability and structure to the cell, as well as chloroplasts, which are used by plants to carry out photosynthesis. These fundamental biological differences are what set apart the squirrel in my yard from the houseplant in my living room. Although they may appear to be very different, however, Professor John J. Weens from the University of Arizona determined that the responses of these organisms to climate change are remarkably similar. Weens conducted a study on the climatic niches of a wide variety of both plant and animal species. A climatic niche of a species is the set of temperature and precipitation conditions where it occurs. The results determined that both plants and animals showed similar patterns in how their niches changed, which can be used to explain several biological phenomena in nature and allow scientists to predict the impact of future global warming on both plant and animal species. The findings that plants and animals exhibit similar changes in niches was used to illustrate that different sets of plant and animal species tend to occur at different elevations, and these differ in both temperature and precipitation. This may also help to explain why different sets of species occur in temperate versus tropical regions in the world in both groups, and why plants and animals tend to have biodiversity hotspots and high species numbers in certain places. Ultimately, this research suggests that future climate change may impact plant and animal species very similarly based on current trends, and data seems to suggest that both groups have more difficulty adapting rapidly to hotter temperatures and drier conditions than to cooler and wetter ones. Therefore, both plants and animals may have a particularly difficult time adapting to increasing temperatures and droughts that are caused by global warming. Our next headline that came in discusses disorders with regard to how organisms, such as plants and animals, grow and reproduce. These are done through the processes known as mitosis and meiosis. The former is the process of cell division that occurs in all somatic cells, which creates two genetically identical daughter cells from a single original parent cell. Mitosis is a process that is constantly happening in eukaryotic organisms, just like us as humans, for growth or to repair damaged cells. Meiosis, on the other hand, occurs in only non-somatic or germ cells. Two rounds of cell division occur in order to create four gametes or sex cells from the original cell that contain only half the amount of genetic information as the original cell. This process additionally leads to genetic diversity, as there are a number of possibilities in how the chromosomes from the diploid germ cell can separate into the four haploid gametes. The regulation of these processes is incredibly important for the replication of biological life. New research finds that misregulations between mitosis and meiosis can cause harmful or even fatal complications such as reproductive disorders, infertility, miscarriage, and birth defects. During early stages of egg and sperm development, cells divide by mitosis, the process used by most cells in our body. They then undergo a complete remodeling of this gene expression landscape and switch to meiosis. According to Rutgers University, misregulation of the mitosis to meiosis switch can lead to tumor-like growth, depletion of the reproductive cell pool, or failure to complete meiosis. Researchers applied powerful methods for mapping genome-wide protein-RNA interactions and innovative genetic mouse mutants to study and define how a certain RNA helicase binds RNA and controls gene expression to regulate the switch from mitosis to meiosis. This mouse model system allows the researchers to further explore these fundamental aspects of cell biology in order to understand how meiosis is regulated and how its misregulation, leading to reproductive cell death and infertility, can be prevented. Thus, the processes of mitosis and meiosis, in addition to their careful regulation by the organism, are incredibly important for the reproduction of life. Next up, we have our co-host and ecosystem specialist, Daria, on air to cover our following BioNews segment. Thank you, Arya. This is Daria reporting to you live from Lum's Pond in Bear, Delaware. Yes, I'm actually here right now. This is not a green screen. As you can see behind me, there's a wide variety of organisms that are present in this complex ecosystem, which interact with one another to obtain the nutrients that are essential for life. These essential nutrients include carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals, and are necessary for every organism's survival, growth, and reproduction. These can be obtained in a variety of ways depending on the type of organism. Autotrophs are organisms that are able to form nutritional organic substances from simple inorganic substances. One type of autotroph is a photoautotroph, such as the algae found at the bottom of this pond, as well as the plants in the back, such as the grass and the trees, which use the process of photosynthesis to transform sunlight into sugar. These organisms obtain additional important nutrients from those present in their environments, such as the fresh water for the algae and the soil for plants, which is absorbed through their roots. The other type of autotroph is a chemoautotroph, which derives its energy and nutrients by the oxidation of inorganic compounds in their extreme environments, and are typically bacteria found near deep sea hydrothermal vents. Heterotrophs are organisms that cannot generate their own nutrients and thus rely on consumption of other autotrophs or heterotrophs to obtain their essential nutrients for life. For instance, this deer back here grazes on the grass, while bacteria, protozoa, and plankton consume the algae. Then, other organisms may eat those heterotrophs to obtain the nutrients that they require in order to survive. As humans, we do the same thing by eating meat or plant-based diets. Thank you, and we'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Do you find yourself constantly feeling lethargic and lacking in energy? Are you always in need of another midday nap? Well, the Food Scanner Pro may be just what you need. Simply slide your food through the conveyor belt to generate an accurate food web that shows its exact origins. In every ecosystem, the energy flows in a one-way stream from the primary producers to the several trophic levels of consumers. However, the higher up the trophic level of an organism, the less energy it is able to store. In fact, with each trophic level, the energy stored in the organisms reduces by 10%, and this is due to the energy used by each organism for its own biological processes, and remaining energy being released to the environment as heat. This is why, if you want to be the most efficient with the energy you obtain from the food you eat, producers such as fruits, vegetables, and other plant-based foods are the way to go. But if you're still craving that snack and are just curious about what organisms it ate for it to land on your plate, the Food Scanner Pro is perfect for you. Simply visit our website online at foodscannerpro.com or call 800-588-2300 to buy your very own Food Scanner Pro for just $10.99.99. That's right, only $10.99.99 with free shipping. Scan your food today for a better tomorrow.
Welcome back, everyone. Our last segment of the show is to discuss evolution. Parents pass down their traits through the form of genes to their offspring. However, the offspring are never exact replicas of either one of the parents. This is because of the phenomenon called genetic variation, which results in change among populations of a species over time. Variations among populations accumulate over time as a result of variants, which are caused by mutations and recombination, creating new genetic combinations in the offspring. Random mutations can lead to new inheritable traits, which may make an organism better adapted to its environment and is important as the first step of evolution since it forms a new DNA sequence for a particular gene called an allele. Recombination also can create a new DNA sequence for a specific gene through the crossing over process that occurs during meiosis. Over time, as generations of individuals with the trait continue to reproduce, the advantageous trait becomes increasingly common in a population, making the population different from an ancestral one. In the case of a study conducted by Chicago University, genetic variation became beneficial to a mussel population. As climate change worsens, the oceans are rapidly acidifying. An innovative new study by University of Chicago biologists shows that mussels raised in an acidic and experimental environment grew smaller shells than those grown at normal levels, but the overall survival rate of mussels grown under both conditions was the same. The surviving population in the acidic environment differs genetically from the others, suggesting that genetic variants that already exist in a subset of the natural population of mussels allowed them to adapt to the harsher environment. The hope is that there are already a few individuals in the species that have some genetic makeup that allows them to withstand the change in the environment, which effectively allows evolution to work a lot faster without having to wait around for some new mutation to arise. After performing several tests and experiments on the mussels by separating populations into acidified and normal pH conditions, it was determined that there was no difference in the total survival of mussels raised in either environment. This would seem like rare good news in the context of rapidly advancing climate change, a species that already has the ability to adapt to harsher conditions. However, one point that is important to note is that it is only one of the several changes that have arisen from climate change. Salinity and temperature of water, for example, are large stressors to aquatic organisms. This study shows why it's significantly important to focus on conservation and aquaculture efforts on maintaining broad genetic diversity among mussel populations, since the ability to adapt to near future conditions appears to exist already in the gene pool. Yet it also demonstrates the significant impact of evolution on populations of organisms. This is our next and final story of the day, which covers a specific organism that has actually been affected by all three types of selection, which are natural, artificial, and sexual selection. And this is the domestic dog. The domestic dog evolved from its wild ancestor, the gray wolf, through natural selection. Wolves with traits that were beneficial for living near human settlements, such as reduced aggression, increased tolerance to human presence, and the ability to scavenge on human command, had higher survival rates. Over time, these traits became more common to the population, leading to the domestication of dogs. Humans have employed artificial selection in breeding dogs for specific traits and purposes. For thousands of years, humans have selectively bred dogs with desired characteristics such as size, coat color and texture, temperament, and working abilities. For example, the selection for herding skills led to the development of breeds like Border Collies, while the selection for strength and guarding instincts resulted in breeds like the Rottweiler or German Shepherd. Artificial selection has led to the incredible diversity of dog breeds we see today. Sexual selection is driven by competition for mates and the choice of mates based on specific traits. In some dog breeds, males may compete to establish dominance or territory, which can influence their reproductive success. Traits that enhance a male dog's ability to compete, such as strength, agility, or aggression, may be favored by mates, which gives them the overall higher chance of passing down their traits to the following generation. Overall, the domestic dog provides a notable example of a species that has undergone natural, artificial, and sexual selection, resulting in a wide array of breeds with distinct traits and characteristics that make them man's best friend today. Well, that's all. This was AG Bio News Special Report today. Thanks for tuning in.